Folks, welcome back to the channel. We're breaking down UFC Abu Dhabi this week, and little peek behind the curtain. I don't know how I did at UFC 318 because it hasn't happened yet, at least at the time of recording. It's still the week ahead. We just watched the press conference, so we're recording now. There you go. Hopefully we did really well at 318 and we can just carry that on over, ride that wave of momentum. But any odds suggested in this video or shown on screen are brought to you by cloudbet.com. A link is in the description to Cloudbet, and if you sign up, use promo code 138MMA and take advantage of a sick welcome package that they have, and it supports the channel. So I appreciate you for doing that. Without any other further ado, let's jump right into that first fight. Got a debut here. We've got Marcus Buchecha making his UFC debut against Martin Buday. Buday is 4-1 in his last 5, a 15-2 record on the career. He's taking on someone who's relatively new to MMA, but not exactly new to combat sports. He's got a really extensive grappling background, but he's only 5-1, so 6 fights in MMA, 4-1 in the last 5 fights. Now, you might be looking like, man, this guy's already got a loss on his record. The guy he lost to, Kane or Rug, that dude is the only person ever to beat Anatoly Malekin over in one championships. And I believe he's still the current champion over there in the heavyweight division. That's not a bad loss. And the dude made it to decision, so he's very tough. But we don't really know where he is in between that. There's a lot of question marks. He's only had 6 fights. But still, that fight, even though he lost, that shows you some things. So let's break this down a little bit, right? So Buchecha, he's clearly a grappler. His striking isn't super refined or anything. It's decent. He gets by on durability and the fact that his grappling threat is going to open up those kicks at range. Decent kicks, like I said, actually very durable. The amount of stuff that this guy took in that loss that he had, the guy's tough. The guy can take a punch, no doubt about it. But this is where he gets it done. The grappling. He's an absolutely solid grappler. Double leg seems to be his go-to takedown. We haven't really seen him have to use other options. I would love to see what he does if the double leg isn't really working super well. And if he can mix in some other ones. We haven't really seen a lot of it. The double leg seems to work. It's pretty good. It doesn't seem like he has a super wide arsenal of takedowns, but that could be just this one's been working, so why not use it? He's got really good top pressure. He advances position really well and transitions from position to position really well. So he'll advance position, yes, but the transitioning, if the opponent is giving him some resistance from that position, he'll flow to the next position that they're giving him that's still an advantageous position rather than letting them sweep or get back up, things like that. Super good at that. He has very heavy ground and pound, and that's not something you often see from the jiu-jitsu guys. He has it. He's got very heavy ground and pound, and he'll use that to open up submission attempts or just pound someone's face in. And he's got a vast submission arsenal. Honestly, if he can get this fight to the mat, that should be his world. But he's fighting a very large heavyweight in Martin Buday. This guy's a big dude. He's a decent striker. He doesn't do much. He has almost no output, and when he does throw, he's wide open to counters. But he's got decent power. He's a big guy. We saw that in that fight where he had that short notice matchup for that dude that came in up a weight class or whatever that was clearly the more technical and all that stuff. Just whenever Buday hit him, like the dude it sent him flying basically because Buday's huge. So even if you're not the most technical, when you're this big of a dude at heavyweight, like you're going to have some power, right? So he has that going for him, even though he's kind of clunky. He's more of a grappler as well. Now, he's not this level of grappler, but he is a good grappler, and his work gets done in the cage push. Yes, he can get you to the mat, all those good things, whatever. But if he gets you up against the cage push, that's his world. He's a grinder there for sure, just wears you down. And he has a volume of strikes up against the cage that you don't see on the feet, right? Like when he's out at range, he doesn't have that volume. When he's up against the cage, he's just constantly just doing something to land a little bit and just rack up those numbers. So if we see Buday just cage push for 3 rounds, he probably wins. Outside of that, I think Buchecha is the better fighter, and I think he can get this fight to the mat. So I'm going to take Buchecha here, but don't be too surprised if Buday just pushes him against the cage for 3 rounds, especially when we're talking about a debuting fighter. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next. We got a matchup here at featherweight, and it's par for the course. Mohammad Yahya fighting in Abu Dhabi. He just kind of fights on these Middle Eastern cards. That's all that really happens for him. He's fighting Stephen Nguyen. Both of these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights somehow, and Stephen Nguyen, he's a good striker. He's got a clean 1-2. He's got kicks to all levels, steady volume, mixes up his singles and combinations really well. One thing I really like is his counter to the leg kick. When somebody throws a leg kick, he doesn't hesitate. He just throws that cross right down the pipe and just boom. Leg kick's coming, cross is coming. It's just, that's instead of defending the kick, he just makes you hesitate to throw it every single time. I like it. I like it a lot. Sure, you run the risk of your calf giving out on you after you eat a few of them, but they're having to dodge a cross that's coming straight to them while they're standing on one foot every single time they throw that kick. It's a good counter. You're banking on your leg surviving a few kicks to land those crosses. I like it. Decent grappler. He's really hard to hold down, and he's got them choking arms, so he can slip up under that neck pretty easy. He's got the smaller like forearm and wrist and just slips right through, right underneath. That's hard to do when you have big, meaty forearms. So for guys like Nguyen who have like lankier arms, it's a good idea there. Killer instinct is kind of lacking though. That is something we see him kind of he's clean, he fights really well, but he doesn't really like go for the kill. And that's a problem when you're looking at fighters, right? On the other side, Yahya, there's not much to like. He's a decent striker with decent power and decent countering ability, but he doesn't do much else. Like his striking defense isn't good, his output's not good, and his takedown defense isn't very good. He just gets on these cards for some reason because, So, yeah, I mean, you got to go Stephen Nguyen. That's like I don't know. It'd be really difficult for me to get to a fight where I'm picking Yahya to win a fight. I don't think he's horrible, but I don't think he's UFC level. So we're taking Stephen Nguyen. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next 5 pounds is where this one falls. Ibo Aslan takes on Billy Elekana. Elekana is 3-2 in his last 5, 4-1 for Aslan. Now, interesting fight. Elekana got into the UFC by taking that short notice matchup a while back, and here he is. He's now in his sophomore outing. He's a good striker with long straights, and the thing I like is his kicks. He can kick off of either leg without having to switch his stance, and he can kick to all levels with either leg. That's very impressive. He picks his shots really well. He's got really good knees up the middle. 2 problems, though. Because he picks his shots so well, sometimes he can be low volume, especially if his opponents aren't giving him a lot of openings. I don't think he's got to worry about that here, but at the same time, it can result in low volume. He also is willing to back up. Now, that is going to be a problem for him in this matchup because Aslan's probably going to come forward. So backing up isn't usually the way to win a fight. You can sometimes. It does happen. We all know about how O'Malley does that like step back and land and like he did to Sterling. I don't think that's what we're getting here. I don't think it's going to be something like that. I don't think Elekana's the type that's just one punch starching guys. That's okay. I do think that he can land a lot of stuff here, and I do think he's the cleaner striker of the two. I don't think that's crazy to say, but he is going to be backing up, and sometimes he picks his shots a little bit too selectively. In the grappling, he's decent. I wish he would wrestle more. He's got good top pressure. He just doesn't wrestle very often. He does have good takedown defense, and he's urgent to get back to his feet. He does end up getting cage pushed because of this, though. Because he gets back to his feet so quick, gets to the cage, does all that, he sometimes gets stuck against the cage. I don't think we got to worry about that here on the Elekana side either, because that's not what Aslan wants to do. This dude wants to come in, Ibo Aslan. He's a decent striker who wants to just throw big, heavy leg kicks, by far his best weapon, and these big, powerful hooks. The problem is he's wild as heck with those hooks. He's swinging them things like he's just like a lady swinging her purse at you. You know, like the old lady, like Bobby Hill style. Like that's my purse. I don't know you. Like that's Aslan swinging these hooks. You know what I mean? They're powerful. Don't get me wrong, but they are wild. He's not the cleaner striker, but he's definitely the more dangerous, powerful striker is Aslan. He's a decent grappler. He's got pretty decent top pressure and decent ground and pound, but he is not good off his back. We saw that in his last fight. He's got nothing to offer. Skill for skill, Elekana should win because he's cleaner wherever the fight goes, but he just doesn't have that physicality too. So Aslan has a real path to victory here. He's 4-1 in his last 5. He's looked pretty good outside of that last one. Thankfully, we finally cashed on one against Aslan. I've been very low on Aslan. I don't think he's that skilled, but he's very physical, and he's very powerful, and he has a lot of abilities to win fights with that. I'm going to take a shot on Elekana here. I know what you're saying. Just whatever. Yell at me in the comments. I'm taking Elekana. I think he's going to be cleaner on the feet, and I'm going to say he doesn't get knocked out. And I just hope that he watched Aslan's last fight and says, maybe I might want to take this guy down. And then does it. Because if so, I think he can stay on top for as long as he needs to. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next. Ladies come in at 115 pounds. Amanda Ribas takes on Tabatha Ricci. 3-2 in the last 5 for Ricci. 2-3 in the last 5 for Ribas. Very interesting matchup. And I went back and forth on this one for a little bit until I pieced some stuff together. And I feel pretty good about it now. And in this one here, Ricci, she's a decent striker. She's got good volume, good forward pressure. She's going to come forward with these flurries, and she'll use that to close distance and back her opponent up against the cage. She's got good boxing combinations, real basic boxing combinations, but good boxing combinations. She's not doing anything super flashy, super wild, 2-3-2, 1-2-3, 1-2-3-2, etc. Just stuff like that. Like nothing super out of the realm of just basic combos, but she's putting them together well, and she's using them as she's coming forward and throwing those combinations to back her opponent against the cage. In the grappling, she's absolutely solid here. She's got a good cage push, and she's got good takedowns against the cage, and she's got good top pressure. From here, she can work for some stuff, some things like that, but she's going against another grappler in this one, or at least someone who is, I guess I don't know if she's primarily a grappler anymore as Ribas, but at one point she was, and she does still have those abilities. But either way, Ricci has a very solid grappling, base to go to, but she's developing the striking along the way. Now for Ribas, she's a good striker offensively. Her striking defense, that's bad. That is real bad. She's got good volume. She'll strike to all levels. The slip and counter style that she uses is, it's effective a lot of the time, but Ribas has had some trouble with it because her slip and counter style, she's just a little slow on the slip sometimes, but she'll still counter. So she'll just eat the shot and then counter back, which is fine, I guess, but she just does get hit a lot because her goal is when you throw, she slips out of the way and then comes in with her own shots. The problem is the slips just don't seem to keep up with the ability to counter there. So it is what it is. But offensively, I do think she is the better striker offensively, and she's going to be putting more output there. So there is that. Now in the grappling, she's a solid grappler as well. Really good takedown defense. She's got good throws, good top pressure, and she transitions very, very well from position to position. This is interesting because you got 2 and 3 in the last 5. That's usually a red flag. When you look at the level of competition that she's fighting, it makes sense. And she's looked pretty good against the fighters that aren't of that level. When you look at Ricci, she's looked pretty good as well, but there's some really close fights in there that you could definitely argue that she was gifted. I think Ribas takes this fight. I think Ribas is the better fighter. I do understand the striking defense is a problem. I don't think Ricci has the power to make her pay as much as she would need to. And I think that Ribas is going to put forward enough volume and have the grappling base to make it so Ricci can't hold her up against cage or take her down and control her. And I think on the offensive side, Ribas is going to do enough to get the win. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one. We got a matchup here between a couple of guys who are never out of a fight. We've got Blackshear, 3-2 in his last 5. He's taking on Davey Grant, 3-2 in his last 5. Both guys we've seen come back from the brink of defeat only to get the win, right? And both of these guys have done that more than once. Both of these guys are always live to take over in a fight. Now, when we look at Davey Grant's skills, right? The guy's a good striker. He's got good power on the feet. Not like just one shot and just end you power, but pretty good power. Good leg kick, good volume. He fights out of either stance really well. Tougher than a $2 steak, and he's got good combinations that he can put forward. On the feet, I think Davey Grant likely wins minutes at boxing range at a really high clip. Full distance range, he might, it's hit or miss on that because we'll talk about Blackshear in a minute, but there's that. But also Davey Grant's going to be just putting out the output and coming forward, and that's something that I think is going to give him a lot of upside here. In the grappling, he's a good grappler as well. He's active from his back. He's got a good submission arsenal. But once you flatten him out, he can be held down at times. That said, like I said, he's never out of a fight. Neither of these guys are. When we look at Blackshear, he's a good striker as well. He's got power. He picks his shots well. His volume's not going to be as much as Grant, so that's going to be something for him. At full range, he's very explosive. He's got kicks to all levels. He can kick off of either leg, the knees, the flying knees, things like that. Very explosive with the lower bits, right? The legs, the knees, shins, whatever you want to call it. Either way, when he kicks, knees, things like that, he's very, very dangerous. Punches are good, right? Don't get me wrong, but I think in boxing range is going to be Grant. I think at full distance, it's going to be Blackshear. The grappling is where I give an edge to Blackshear as well. He is a solid grappler. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Davey Grant's a bad grappler. Don't put words in my mouth. I just think that Blackshear on the mat is very, very talented. He's got a good choke arsenal. He's got really good takedowns, good top pressure. If he takes your back, you're in some serious trouble. And those ground and pound elbows are brutal. Here's the deal. Here's how I see this. Grant's going to be coming forward landing shots. Blackshear's going to be kicking well at range. But when do we see this go to the grappling? Do we see this go to the grappling? If we don't see it go to the grappling, there's a real good shot that Davey Grant wins this. If it goes to the grappling, I believe we've got Blackshear a step ahead. So I'm going to take them on Blackshear. And no, delete your comment right now. I know you're already typing it. It's not because Davey Grant's old. It's not. It's because I think there's a grappling edge for Blackshear. If he gets out-grappled by Grant, you can tell me I'm dumb. But it's not because Grant's old. I think Blackshear has a better grab. Now, do we not see Blackshear shoot takedowns? That's entirely possible. If he just decides to stay on the feet, he could lose this fight. Blackshear is a pretty big favorite, as you see the odds on the screen at the start of this video. And over on CloudBet, if you're looking for an underdog, Dave Grant might be your guy. Very live to get this one done. Looking for parlay piece for a favorite? Maybe you go Blackshear, hoping that he goes with the grappling. I don't blame you a bit. CloudBet's your spot to do either of those things. You saw the odds on the screen. It makes sense. That's how I see those odds breaking down from an odds perspective. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Find ourselves at welterweight, where Muslim Salikhov, interestingly enough, is taking on Carlos Leal, who I didn't think would want to fight here, but here he is. Both these guys are 3-2 in their last 5 fights, and something that a lot of people, any fighter that comes over from PFL or Bellator, fans think they all just suck and that they're trash, right? And sure, you could say Carlos Leal lost to Fakhretdinov, but Carlos Leal's looked pretty gosh darn good since coming over to the UFC. And if you think he lost to Fakhretdinov, you probably had money on Fakhretdinov. That's all I'm saying. Either way, Carlos Leal, he's a good striker. He's got good forward pressure. He's got plenty of power in the hands. Dude's got an absolute barrage of straight punches as he comes forward and just straight, and just runs guys down. Good knees, and he'll use those to close the distance extremely well. He can grapple as well. The defense is there, the takedown defense. He's got decent takedowns. A lot of times he's piecing guys up and he wants to just finish them on the mat, so he'll take them down and then just boom, boom, boom with that ground and pound. I love that he does not commit to the ground when he's ground and pounding his opponents. He'll get them down and he'll stay on his feet and punch down at them, not like drop to the knees and then start punching. He'll stay on his feet and try to ground and pound that way. It's something that strikers need to do more often. He does that pretty well. On the other side, Muslim Salikhov. He's going to be the more technically sound striker of the two. Muslim Salikhov's striking is fantastic. He's absolutely like one of the more accurate fighters at 170 pounds as far as like his placement of some of these wild kicks that he throws. He's got plenty of power. His kicks are to all levels, and the diversity of the attack with the kicks is insane. His problem is his output. He doesn't have much output. And even though he's the better technical striker, the lack of output can make the striking lean towards Leal in this fight. That's a problem for Salikhov. He needs to up the output to be able to keep up with a guy like Leal. Otherwise, he's going to get behind on the scorecards just by just not doing enough. Or maybe he will, or maybe Salikhov will win, regardless of how that looks. So either way, good grappling for Salikhov, though. He has pretty good takedown defense. He has the ability to work back to his feet. He can mix in his own takedowns if he has to, and a lot of times those come from catching kicks. He'll catch the kick, get the takedown, and then he can just kind of stay there. Like he doesn't need to worry about getting up. He doesn't need to worry about doing any damage on the ground. Just hold him there. So in this one, it's tricky for me because on one hand, Salikhov's a more technical guy. There's a chance the scorecards have already been written for this fight for like weeks now. But at the same time, the output from Leal, the power, and this like the pressure forward of Leal is going to be there as well. And like I said, more technical striker just does a lot more. And when he lands outside of those crazy kicks from Salikhov, those are doing damage no matter what. Outside of those, the shots from Leal are going to do more damage. You might have to pass on this fight, honestly. Like I'm going to make a pick, but because like there's just too many red flags, I'm going to take Leal. And I'm apprehensive about it. I'm going to take him, but I think he's just going to be coming forward and doing more. And so we're going Leal, but let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next fight. Bantamweight matchup. Bryce Mitchell moving down to bantamweight. He's 2-3 in his last 5. Figured it's time to know, test the waters at a weight class down. He's taking on Saeed Nurmagomedov, who's 3-2 in his last 5. Had some tough fights recently. A couple of close losses, one of which he shouldn't have lost, but we remember. But the other one, he definitely lost it. So either way, Saeed, 3-2, 2-3 for Mitchell. Interesting fight. Now, for Saeed Nurmagomedov, solid striker. You see Nurmagomedov, you think grappler? Not in this case. He is very much more, yes, he's a good grappler. He's a solid striker. He's a better striker. Dynamic attack. His striking defense is very good. He's got excellent kicks. He actually spins extremely well. Most fighters, when they're spinning, I'm like, yeah, sure, it might be effective, but like, it also puts you in bad spots. It doesn't really put him in bad spots. We don't really often see Saeed get in a bad position because of his spins. He spins very quick. He's very precise, and he makes sure not to get himself, off balance and things like that. He can fight well out of either stance. His biggest problem is he'll fade in high-paced fights. The way he fights is so dynamic and so it burns through so much fuel that he will fade as a fight goes on, if it's a high-paced fight. It happens a lot. Now, in the grappling, he's good there as well. He has some of the nastiest front chokes in the division, and he uses them as takedown defense. He can also mix in his own takedowns on offense, and he's really hard to control, and he's active from his back. The guy has a lot to like in a lot of positions. This is the only thing that makes me kind of worry when picking a Said Nurmagomedov fight when you're taking that guy, is the fact that he will fade in high-paced fights. Now, he's fighting Bryce Mitchell, who can definitely go a hard 3 rounds, no problem. The guy does have that ability to do that. So this could come into play. Maybe not at 135 pounds. That we're going to find out. But historically speaking, he's done well as far as cardio goes. He's a decent striker. He's got decent power in the hands. He's got pretty good kicks. His kicks are actually, I mean, they're not Said Nurmagomedov kicks, but he's got good kicks. The grappling is where he gets it done. He's the better grappler here overall. Yeah, we saw him get submitted in his last fight. Okay. But still, in general, Bryce Mitchell's a very solid grappler. He chain wrestles well. He's got good transitions on the mat. He'll take the back extremely well. He'll chain his submission attempts together, and he can scramble with the best of them. I do think if Bryce Mitchell can get this fight to the ground consistently and not get in one of those front chokes, I think he's going to have a lot of success here. However, he has to get the fight to the mat and not end up in one of those front chokes. On the feet, it's Nurmagomedov all day. He's a much better striker. And although there's some similarities in their style, they're both very range and kick heavy, I do think Nurmagomedov is a much better striker. So for Mitchell, the game plan needs to be get this fight to the mat safely and push a pace so that you can make Nurmagomedov fade. That's going to be tough to do when you're testing the waters in new weight class, 135 pounds. I think the UFC has not done any favors to Bryce Mitchell lately in matchmaking. I think Said Nurmagomedov has him covered on the feet, is dangerous enough to take down that Mitchell's going to have to be somewhat hesitant in doing so. And I think because of that, Said Nurmagomedov's the side. We're taking him to get this one done. I don't like to move down and wait for Mitchell, especially against a guy like Nurmagomedov. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the light heavyweights next. Nikita Krylov takes on Bogdan Guskov. And Nikita Krylov's an interesting story because he was absent for quite some time, right? Comes back and then just obliterated by Dominic Reyes. So that's not a good look. He's 3-2 in his last 5 now. He's been arm triangled more than most people in his loss. I mean, the dude's only lost 10 times. I mean, that's kind of quite a few. 3 of those are arm triangle losses. So if you're looking at Bogdan Guskov by sub, that might be a line. Specifically by arm triangle, that might be worth a shot. But for Bogdan Guskov, he's 4-1 in his last 5. He's looked better than people thought he would. He lost his UFC debut, as many fighters do. But he's looked good since then, right? Even in fights where he hasn't looked the best, he's found ways to win. So there's a lot to like here, but this is a tough matchup. He's fighting some really good competition here because Nikita Krylov has the skills to beat most guys, but also to lose to most guys just by the way he fights. When we look at Guskov, good striker, plenty of power. He's got a laser of a cross and a nice head kick. Problem is, he doesn't have any real head movement, and he throws a lot of single shots. When those single shots land, they're devastating. When they don't, well, you can counter him. He's a decent grappler. He has really powerful ground and pound and a decent body lock takedown. That's about it. Doesn't have a ton going in the grappling. However, if he's been working his arm triangles, that's what he needs to do here. Now, on the other side, for Nikita Krylov, he's a good striker with that kind of like karate-ish stance. He'll come forward with his blitzes, typical from the karate fighters or the karate stance style fighters. He's got really good kicks to all levels. The head kicks are the best. But he is wide open to counters on the blitz, and that's what we saw in the last fight. And we also see that with guys that we're going to talk about like later, like Robert Whittaker, who, when he does his blitz, it's the same idea. It's you got that karate stance, you come in with the blitz, and you are open to be countered on that entry. That's what happened to him last time. You don't want to be countered by a guy like Guskov because the dude has a laser of a cross, as I mentioned here. But if he can get in and start landing his barrage, that's where it's going to be on the Krylov side. If he mixes in the grappling, I do think he's a better grappler, especially a topside grappler here. He's got pretty good takedowns and pretty good top pressure. There's a lot to like about both sides, and there's a lot to be concerned about for both sides. Ultimately, at the time of recording, you're getting plus 162 on Guskov. I'm sure that line is going to be better by the time you're watching. You probably saw the graphic pop up at the beginning of this fight, and I'm going to do it. We're going to go Guskov to get that counter shot, drop him, and then arm triangle him. I don't know if the arm triangle is actually going to hit, but I do think he's going to be able to counter him on the entry, and I think we're going to take Guskov here. Let me know what you think. I know that sounds crazy, but I'd love to hear your opinion. I'll see you in the next fight. Fun fight in the flyweight division. Almabayev takes on Jose Ochoa. Now, this fight, both of these guys have already experienced their first loss in the UFC, But both of these guys have also shown a lot of promise in the UFC. For Ochoa, he's 3-1 in a no contest in his last 5 fights, 4-1 for Almabayev. Now, when we look at this here, it's very much two guys who have opposite ideas of how they want this fight to play out in different areas in the fight. When we look at Ochoa, dude's a solid striker. There is no doubt about that. He's got really good knees, plenty of power, and he puts combinations together. His volume is there, his hands are fast, and he rips the body extremely well. He's also no slouch in the clinch. Those clinch knees that this dude brings forward, those are devastating. When it comes to the grappling, it's definitely his weakest area, but he's not bad there either. He's a pretty good grappler with a really good sprawl, and he'll start attacking front chokes as the defense from that sprawl. So he'll sprawl out, start going for, your Darce, your Anaconda, your guillotines, the front chokes. You know what I'm talking about. He's got pretty good ground and pound as well. I will say he's not going to be the better grappler here. But he does just need this to be good enough to keep the fight where he wants it. Now, on the other hand, the opposite is true. Aslan Almabayev, he's a decent striker, right? We saw what happens if he gets stuck in an extended striking battle in his fight with Kopp. He spins a lot. Not exactly the best. He does have some pretty decent power, so that's nice, but it's just not enough to carry him against somebody who's a legitimate striker, but his grappling is solid. If he can get these takedowns, he's got very good takedowns, he's got really powerful takedowns, and he's got a variety of options he can go to with the takedowns. So those are all good things. He scrambles well, takes the back really well, has a solid choke arsenal, and he's no slouch in the ground and pound either. But the thing is, if he can't get the grappling going, he's going to be stuck on the feet where he's not so good. But his striking just needs to be good enough that he can survive to get the fight where he wants it. Both guys have the same options there, but just in reverse, right? I think it's Ochoa, though. I think Ochoa is going to keep this fight on the feet because I think that his takedown defense is just good enough that he can stay on the feet enough to get this one done. I do worry a little bit because this isn't in Vegas. And fights in Vegas, it's pretty easy to kind of, well, not always, but you usually have a good idea of, okay, this is how the judges are going to score things based on the whatever. I don't know so much for the Abu Dhabi Commission. They don't really have one as far as I know. The UFC brings some guys over, things like that. But I'm going to go with Ochoa because I think he can land a lot of damage, and I think he can also keep it on the feet for the majority of the fight. So we're going to stick with him. I have no idea. I don't think odds have come out for this fight yet. So I don't know where this one's at. So you probably saw them on screen. Those are accurate. But like I said in the intro, I'm recording this way ahead of time. And this fight, for whatever reason, doesn't have odds out at the time of my recording. You saw them on screen. Who knows if I picked a favorite or a dog. I'll see you guys in the next fight. A middleweight matchup between Shara Magomedov and Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault, this is a pretty quick turnaround for him. He's 2-3 in his last 5, but he's coming off of not a big win in terms of who he beat. Bruno Silva hasn't looked very good lately, but an impressive victory in the sense of the way he did it. That was impressive. But 2-3 isn't the best last 5. 4-1 for Magomedov. That looks a lot better. He did get outclassed by MVP. That's all right. That's going to happen to a lot of guys. We're going to see how this one looks here. For this one, for Barriault, he's a decent striker. He's got good forward pressure and a ton of volume. Striking defense isn't very good. He used to be super durable. I don't know so much anymore. It doesn't seem to be the case. Like, the guy's getting wobbled a lot more. He's been knocked out more. I don't know. But the high motor that he has, the volume and the forward pressure, those are all really good things and things that I like for him. Decent grappling. The cage push in particular is dirty boxing up against the cage, or like the last one, just obliterating poor Bruno Silva with those elbows and knees and stuff. That was where it was at. For me, Barriault has some ways he can win this fight, but he's going to have to close that distance. He needs to use his forward pressure. He needs to get that cage push going. If he can do this, he's got a path. On the other side, for Shara Magomedov, he needs to keep range. He's a very solid striker with a lot of kicks. That's the bulk of his arsenal. He's got a wide variety of different kicks. Now, yes, he can punch. He has decent combinations where he puts his punches and kicks together, don't get me wrong, but he's mostly a kicker. He also spins quite a bit. We all know about the double spinning back fist or whatever, but he also spins a lot in general, like whether it's back fists, kicks, etc. He's pretty much only a striker, though. His takedown defense is bad, and he lacks the ability to get back up. A guy we were just talking about, Bruno Silva, was able to take down Shara Magomedov and get a ton of top time on him. Bruno Silva is not a wrestler. He was able to do that. So, if Barriault comes out here and is like, I'm going to just grapple this dude, there's a path. But I think he's going to have a hard time closing that distance. The striking is going to be there for Shara Magomedov at range. If he can keep his range, he wins this fight. If he doesn't, he loses this fight, and Barriault is able to get him up against the cage and dirty box him up and probably wins. So it comes down to what you think is going to happen. For me, I'm going to take Magomedov here. No shocker, because he's big time favorite. But with that said, there is a path for Barriault, and I wish I could pick him. I want to pick him. I'm rooting for him. I don't really like Shara Magomedov. He kind of seems like a jerk, but let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. We got a bantamweight matchup that really has me kind of puzzled here. Petr Yan takes on Marcus McGhee. Now, McGhee has looked great. He's 5-0 in his last 5, only 1 loss on the career. Yan is a guy who's looked really good in his last 2 fights, but before that was on a 3-fight skid. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Sure, most of those were competitive fights. The Mohammad fight was not competitive whatsoever, but the other 2 were very competitive split decision losses. At the same time, 2-3 in his last 5, that's not the best. McGhee hasn't fought anyone near the level of Yan. I'd say his best competition thus far in the UFC has been Martinez, which isn't a bad fight, but Petr Yan's a big step up. So this is a really interesting spot because McGhee has looked nothing but phenomenal. He's looked phenomenal, but he hasn't fought anybody this level. Yan, he's looked good lately, but this is a lower, well, we don't know. This could be a step down in competition, or it could be on par with who he's been fighting, or even a tougher matchup. It's really hard to say. We don't really know where the ceiling is for McGhee yet. But with that said, I'm going to cover what we do know. For McGhee, good striker, forward pressure, good combinations, hand speed. I love all those things. He's got power. You've seen this guy shut guys down with just 1 shot, and that is it. He has a lot of things to really like. In the grappling, solid grappler. He's got good takedown defense. He works to get up, good sweeps, good scrambles, etc. He can mix in the offensive grappling when need be as well. There's a lot to like about McGhee, and he's done everything he needs to do thus far in the UFC. On the other side, for Petr Yan, he should have a striking edge here. Am I right? He's got good solid striking, good forward pressure. He keeps that high guard. That is a pro and a con. Sometimes he will wait for guys to throw and then throw back, which depends on the judging. Could go either way. Got good combinations. His counters. This is where he's going to need to get it done here, I believe. He's got 2 different styles of counters that he'll do. He'll do the block and return, where he'll block a shot and then fire back with his own strikes. He'll use that high guard. Boom, boom, boom. They hit the arms, and then pop, 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 pop. He'll come back with his combination. That's what he does. Or it's the pivot and strike. He'll wait for them to throw something, and he'll pivot outside of it and then come back with his shot to finish that combination out with his own strikes. But it's either the block and return, this is his go-to most of the time, or the pivot and strike. I think the block and return is the one he uses more often. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that's where I'm at. Defensively on the takedowns, he's pretty good there. He has his own trips and throws he can use. There's a lot more I could have written out about Yan. He's been fighting at the highest level for a long time. I tried to even it out for the board and put the things that I thought were most applicable. Trips and throws are there. He's got really good killer instinct, but he does start slow. And I believe that this is a 3-round fight, which makes me think that McGhee probably could take the first round. So then if you're like, okay, Yan's a massive favorite, and this is a 3-round fight, he probably gives up the first round. Well, that's already a problem. So this is a really close fight. And at the time of recording this, Cloudbet's got like plus 360 something or another on McGhee. The odds showed up on the screen here. Those are at the time that I edited the video and posted it. Like I said, I'm traveling and stuff like that, so I'm recording this very early. So I don't know what those odds were there. But if the odds get out of hand, you bet I'm gonna be looking at something from McGhee. That said, I am picking Petr Yan to win the fight based on his skill set, level of competition, things like that. But there's a number for McGhee, and like we're getting close to it really fast. So for me, it's Yan. I think McGhee is fantastic though, and I could definitely see myself getting there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I'm silly for looking at the underdog here a little bit. I would love to hear from you. See you in the next fight. Folks, we're at the main event, and I haven't asked you to like the video yet. So if you would please do that, that would be very cool. Let's break this one down. Middleweight matchup. We have Robert Whittaker. He's taking on Reinier de Ridder. De Ridder's 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Whittaker. This matchup is hard for me to make a pick, and I'm going to explain why. But let's break down what they're good at and what they're bad at for now. First, de Ridder. His striking's decent, and it's not super clean. He does have a decent jab, and he's got really good knees. I think the knees are because he's so tall. But, like, his striking just works for him, but it's goofy as all get out. And it works. It does. So there's that. I want to upgrade it to good because of how it works effectively, but it just looks so bad when it's working. So there's that. But he's a solid grappler. This dude on the mat, if he can somehow get Whittaker down, DeRitter's good on the mat, guys. He's really good on the mat. I know people just like want to say that this guy's not very good because he looks all gangly and weird in there, but he's darn good on the mat. He's got good throws, decent takedowns. It's a lot of just like him getting a hold of you and just kind of pulling you to the mat. They're fine. Really good submission arsenal, and his ground and pound's actually better than people give him credit for as well. The guy's good. He's got 2 losses on the career, and both of them are to the same guy who also only has 1 loss in his career. So there you go. And to go full circle, the guy that beat this guy, so earlier in the card, we've got a nice Brazilian grappler making his debut who has 1 loss in his career. We were talking about it. He's got 1 loss. His 1 loss is to the guy, the only guy ever to beat the guy that gave DeRitter his 2 losses. I don't know if you followed that whole chain of stuff there. I don't know. It's a wild story. Either way, DeRitter has a lot of things to like. I don't have a lot written up here for him because he does a lot of the same stuff, but he does it pretty well. So there's that. On to Whittaker. He's the superior striker by far. He's a very solid striker with really good movement, solid kicks. He's got a very fast head kick. He's got that slip and counter style at range, kind of like I talked about with Ribas, but he's better at slipping. So he'll slip the shot and then come back with his own stuff. And he also has that blitz that he'll use. He'll just come in and bop, 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 go for the blitz, and that's when he's trying to look for the finish. The problem with the blitz, as we talked about with Krylov, you're open to counters when you come in on that blitz. It's a thing. It's happened to him in the past. He's got caught coming in on the blitz. I could see that happening here. Those knees they're bad. You don't want to run into those knees. Those hurt. So I could see that being a problem for him. Other than that, Whittaker's the much better striker. He's a much cleaner striker. He's got better combinations, all that stuff. There's nothing DeRitter does on the feet better than Robert Whittaker, other than he's just like a tall, gangly guy that can put a knee out there when you're coming in. So that's possible. But otherwise, Whittaker's the better striker. In the grappling, Whittaker's a good grappler. He's got a good sprawl. He's really hard to control, and he makes opponents pay for their failed takedowns. If you shoot a takedown and he sprawls you, he's right on you to cause some damage. But if DeRitter gets this to the ground, I think he can win. If he can't get this to the ground, I think Whittaker wins. That's kind of how this looks. And it's got me going back and forth. Like, on one hand, I want to be like, oh, Whittaker for sure, because he's the more well-rounded, better fighter. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, DeRitter keeps putting these guys down. And like, okay, ask everyone who they picked, Bo Nickel, Reinier, DeRitter. I picked Reinier DeRitter. You can go back and check the video. YouTube left that one up, thankfully. I picked DeRitter. Not many other people did. Couple, maybe, if that. I understand DeRitter is supposed to lose to a guy like Whittaker, but I think he's going to pull this thing off. And he could lose. I've already made my money on DeRitter. I'm okay with it. I'm going to take a shot on DeRitter here to get it done over Whittaker. And I don't feel great about this. I don't. It might be a situation where I look really silly after this fight, but I'm going to lean DeRitter. Cool. All right, and if you're watching this, before Saturday, I'm probably getting ready to run a 20 and a half mile race. It's a trail run through some hills and all that good stuff. So I'm going to be doing that. So if you're watching this and you want me to do well, maybe wish me luck in the comments or something like that. 20 and a half miles is a long freaking run. It's like 30 kilometers or something like that, give or take. Yeah, so I'm doing that. That's Saturday, the day of the fights. So hopefully after that, I can just chill back at the hotel room and watch some fights and be sore and hurt. So thank you guys for tuning in. Wish me luck on the run if you want, or tell me that it's going to suck and that you think I deserve the pain I'm going to be in. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you all down the road.